So Desmond, you became somewhat of a hero during the lockdowns. Did your faith impact your politics and your decisions at the time?
I think so. I think they inform my politics at all times, in that, I have certain values which I believe are biblically based. I don't test particular political decisions for theological soundness. It's just that I have values which I believe are biblically based, and I will pursue issues and causes and behave in a certain way because I have those views. In terms of lockdown, I felt very strongly that people should not be prevented from having the sacraments of the church and be able to go to church and be able to exercise individual liberty and make an assessment for themselves as to what risks they were prepared to take.
Personal responsibility, what an old-fashioned thought. You mentioned the importance of individual liberty, and that was one of your calls to campaign throughout the lockdowns and throughout the pandemic, but people seem to use it as a derogatory term these days. Why do you think that might be?
Well, I think certainly in the sense of lockdown, there's a collective good and a collective view. And if your liberty is out spreading the disease, then I can understand people saying, well, your liberty is less important than the common good. And I think there's a question of balance to be had. If I thought that my liberties were making the situation worse and spreading the disease, then I would have taken a different view. I think that I was underwhelmed by the medical evidence and the case for lockdown that was put to us. I think it was a disaster. I think it did vastly more harm than it would otherwise have done. But hey, if the disease had been killing young people, had been killing children, I might have taken a different view. If it's just the way that things came about and fell out. Ultimately, I would always prize individual liberty over the collective good, but clearly there has to be some balance between those two.
And we now know that you are on the right side of this in terms of the scientific data backs your argument. How are you showing forgiveness to people who were wrong and demonized you at the time?
Frankly, it's water off a duck's back. The reality is, if you're in politics, you have to have a thick skin because people will always put the worst possible interpretation on your actions and denounce you for all sorts of things that you've not done or not said. I haven't been. I know that some politicians keep a little notebook of all the people they need to get back at, but I'm immune from that. I'm a Christian. I believe in forgiveness.
Your party seems to be split at the moment between liberal conservatives and social conservatives. Where would you fall within that bracket?
Well, I've moved between the two seamlessly and been in one camp for some time and then the other and moved back again. There's a difficulty there in the sense that the Conservative Party has a tradition for order and tradition itself, and equally something that we imported largely from the Whigs and from the National Liberals, a much more liberal attitude. And I'm afraid, I'm probably like most colleagues, it's difficult to pin me down. I move between the two.
Right. The reason I ask is because I think within the church we're seeing younger people more attracted to tradition, such as the beautiful setting we're filming in today. And I think we might be seeing a similar thing in politics, in that young people seem to be attracted more to the social conservative side of things and the traditional values. Are you seeing this?
I've certainly found in this last year, I think I've done 11 university visits this year. And certainly I found that there's a strong element of that social conservatism. But I wouldn't overstate it. I think that certainly looking at my own children, they have much more liberal values. And I'm comfortable with that. My own taste, certainly in religion, is for the more traditional. I prefer the prayer book than the modern services. And I'm sure it doesn't matter to the Almighty, but it does matter to me.
Well, you came to our college, St. Stephen's House. I won't ask you where we fell on the social divide. In terms of Christmas, where do you get hope?
Those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall run and not grow weary. It's only in a belief in an eternal power outside yourself that informs you with the hope that things will get better. But ultimately, your salvation is in the hands of God, and that provides a reassurance which cannot exist for people who do not believe that, and they have a much more weary existence simply because they don't have that hope to hold on to. Now, Marx called it an opiate, and we need this opiate just to get us through the misery of this life. But that doesn't constitute, it may in certain respects be true, but during a night of pain you long for the dawn, that's no disproof that the dawn is not going to come.